Ladies and gentlemen, this is Eddie Mark, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. I got a wonderful message for you today, and it has to be divine. Now, I'm going to say some things that perhaps I'm sure some of you might not appreciate, but I'm asking that you do not click change. Hold on just for a moment. I want to take you where I'm going, and I'm sure you will understand, and I'm perfectly satisfied that you will be too. Ladies and gentlemen, I woke this morning to one of the greatest pimp shows in America. One of the greatest pimp shows in America. What do you think that was? I mean, it was so pathetic. Today, for some strange reason, that I got up in the, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock now? Just to tell you this. The greatest pimp show in America. Can you imagine what it was? I bet you know. There they were on every channel, or should I say so many channels, espousing out the words of God. The great message of Jesus Christ. All across the land, in every city, in every town, I'm sure, in every state, no doubt. All across America, small, middle-sized, and gigantic. Talking about this wonderful love of God. And I'm sure that by the time this 24-hour expires, there would have been so much money that's passed back and forth across this great pimp show that if you knew, if you heard, if you understood, you'd just be amazed that there's no difference in this pimp show and the show that you live every day. In fact, they all are the same. You know, you basically say that, many of you say at least, that Republicans and Democrats represent the same thing. You know, when you start talking about their politics, you say one is about this and the other one about that, and they're so diabolically different that you could actually say that they really represent something uniquely, individually. But no, we just say it's the same thing. What you get from the Republicans is the same thing you get from the Democrats. The Democrats are just a little bit lightfoot than Republicans. Republicans and conservative Republicans, should I say, and those on the right, they just got a heavy hand. They got a heavy hand. It's almost like they just want to make sure that they got theirs. And that's their major concern. Well, anyway, and then the Democrats, it's the same way. Same old way. It's just that to present themselves as being a little bit different than the Republicans, they'll extend a little bit more. But they all going down the same path. And in time, they'll all get to the same place. Now, why do I include those pimpers that's out there today? It's because they ride right along with the show. Democrats say the Republicans are evil. They're the devil. And yet they're going right behind them. And the church, wow, it came out. They say the Democrats and the Republicans are evil. But there they go, right behind them. Not to save them, not to awake them, but to engage them. And really, if you ask me, try to overexploit them. It's like the Democrats right now. They want to think that just because they're not as bad as Donald Trump, that the people really support them and give them the office of the presidency and the Senate, or should I say just Congress. That's what not that they want to be good. Not that they want to do the right thing. They just don't want to be as bad as Trump and hope the people. And see, it's like the church almost seems like that. They're not trying to change anything because the game is good. They're all in the game. Now, the reason I get really upset about this, ladies and gentlemen, is this. When God does things, God does it. God doesn't owe anybody any explanation, but God is so fantastic. If you got your eyes open, your ears, you know, you're telling you. You speak it to you all the time. Everything around us speaks to us. Now, what am I saying? I'm saying that the problems that we have in our societies, I'm talking about this crazy stuff that we got going on in America. I'm talking about these God pimping folks over there on the side with the Democrats, these God pimping folks over on the side of the Republicans, when they both say that the other one is evil. So they don't know what the heck they're talking about when it comes to God. I'm fussing now, ladies and gentlemen. Why am I fussing? Oh, he got me. Okay, let me slow it down a bit. And then you in the churches, look at them. Man, there's so many churches. Woo! There's so many churches in this country. And you know, they represent all kinds of different voices. Different voices. And I heard Oprah say, it doesn't matter how many voices you got if you end up in the same place. I tell you, you're going to end up in the same places with these voices. It's not going to be heaven. It's not going to be heaven. It's going to be pure hell. And it's going to be the hell that was created by people listening to all these different voices and not listening to the one voice, which is God's voice, which speaks of love. And love is, I'm telling you, I don't care what path you take. Love is the same every way. In every path that you're taking, where love exists, there ain't no pain, there ain't no suffering, because love will not allow it to exist. For love will not walk in no path like that. Where people have access to, or should I say a lack of access to food and clothing and shelter, why in the world would God be there? And if somebody calls themselves touched about the Spirit of God, their number one thing is to make sure that this pain and suffering, this whatever it is that's causing exploitation of these people, go. Why? Because that's God. Don't be looking for God in the sky. Bring God and put God inside of you. Know the truth and walk according to the truth. Everybody know, listen to me right now. You know I told you the truth. You know I have shared with you nothing but the truth. But that's not good enough, just sharing with you the truth. How do we get out of this mess? See, this is what it's all about. This is exactly what it's all about. Now, my calling was to tell you God's path to the promised land here in America. God's path to bringing those, got a cattle on 1,000 hills belong to God. Bring those cattle down off those hills. My calling was to show you the path to peace and to prosperity. That was and is my calling. And these are the things that every last one of you at one time or another pray for. Actually on your knees praying for. God knows it. And so here I am. And what do? You go so far against God till you get Donald Trump. And you got half of the church over there with Donald Trump, swearing he's from God. Even though he tells you that he's evil. By saying how much he hates. By saying how much of a bigot he is. By saying how much lies he does. All of that tells you how evil this is. But yet God is sitting right there beside him saying, oh, come on, buddy. And you know why they're saying, come on, buddy? Because they say he's giving us power. Us power. See what I'm saying? Us power. No, baby boy. It ain't your power. It's God's power to guide each of us. That leads us to peace, prosperity, freedom, and joy. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, right fast, how this thing is designed so you won't walk away stupid. Look, the whole earth belongs to God. And everything in it, you've heard the expression, the fullness of the Lord. The earth is the Lord, the fullness thereof, and all they that dwell therein. You've heard that 1,000 times. Basically mean that this big ball, as much as we can imagine, was created by a power that we can't see, can't touch, can't feel. And it was on the ball. Able to all of the things we can see on this earth and those things that we can't see. Stuff above the earth, on the earth, and in the earth. And what is it for? It's here to provide us as resource to do the things that we can imagine in this life. To do and exercise the gifts and skills that each of us have been given by that massive creator, love, God. That we might engage ourselves in the process of creating food, clothing, shelter, education, healthcare, transportation, infrastructure, and so on and so forth, in such an abundance that there will not be enough room in America to contain it. It will overflow our borders, and it'll start going to Mexico, it'll start going to Canada, and the whole world will begin to see that America shines just like the sun in the daytime, but we are shining all 24 hours a day. Why? Because of the love that we have generated. Now this is what I'm talking. When God got my calling, I knew what was going on. I knew, I wouldn't say it then, but I knew people were pimping God. Pimping God. Are y'all mad when you hear me say it? Yeah, you're pimping God. You say, well, my religion say all I got to do is do my thing and to serve God my way. And I ain't got to be worried about all that. I know your religion tell you that. Pimping God. Because the God of love, the God who made you and me, didn't plan it that way. The God that made you and me planned that you could be as thrilled and have your needs and your wants and desires, and so could I. That you could have peace, prosperity, freedom, joy of life, and the fulfillment of your dreams, and so could I. Living here on this planet at the same time with one another. Doing what we do because it's interconnected, because it's led by the process of love. Ladies and gentlemen, I told God, I said, Lord, if I go out on this calling, I will not give it up. I know how cruel the world is. But I will eat grass and drink piss, my own piss, to survive if I have to, before I sell you out. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't sell God out. I'm not the preacher who's out there trying to tell you about God and a kingdom. No one he tell you about a kingdom of heaven someplace else and not a kingdom of heaven on earth, because he's so busy trying to keep up with the Joneses. Or she's so busy trying to keep up with the Joneses. Or I'll run the Joneses and use it as a sign and say how God is blessing me. Come on, y'all. Well, anyway, that's what I wanted to tell you today. I woke up this morning and all I could see, I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I just couldn't believe it. How they were pimping God. And you know what? All of this pain and suffering is going on in America. And you know what? Every last one of them are putting up with it, because they do not know and understand that God's plan, having put the resources on the earth, put the needs in us, and and everything that is required to move us to the point to go out and do these things for the benefit of one another. But the joy of life is in having the careers of our choosing, doing what we came in this world to do, knowing who we are and why we are, and doing it. That's the joy. And everybody's happy now. The evilness of it is that they try to find something other than that motivation of compassion for one another. And what was that they came up with? They came up with money. Money. And so the preacher who's trying to tell you about God sometimes can't really get it together, because he's so busy trying to make money. Money in the church and money in the world. They're so busy trying to be interconnected with the things that seems to be important with the world, that they don't even understand the things that's important unto God and all of mankind. Well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me leave it alone right now. I want to thank you so very much for giving me this your time. Again, this is Eddie Marcus saying goodbye.